All right. Hi, I'm Mike Skrypnek, founder and CEO of Grow, Get, Give Coaching. And I started this video interview series to ask a simple question. And it's really simple. It's just, how do you live your Grow, Get, Give life? In about 20 or 30 minutes max, you're going to hear important secrets, tips, and tricks shared by successful entrepreneurs and business owners and interesting people on how they did it, how they realized their own Grow, Get, Give lives. Today's guest is Andrea Ross, Andrea Ross Viner. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Thanks very much for accepting the invitation to share your story and with other entrepreneur owners. You know, my entire life and business philosophy is kind of outlined in that book of mine, Entrepreneur Secrets to a Grow, Get, Give Life. And it covers, you know, all the different ideas that ensure entrepreneurs find success by teaching them better ways to grow, get, and give, grow their business, get more freedom, and give back. And so the purpose of our talk today is to showcase the types of things you do to fit that mantra. So welcome. I'm gonna do a little intro. I always ask people to share a little about themselves. I'm gonna ask you to fill in the blanks, but you know, Andrea Ross, you're a confident, multi-skilled athlete and action artist, right? In the stunt performing industry, based out of Squamish, BC, and you're making your mark by being more than just a talented, bona fide badass. How's that so far?
Making me blush.
Andrea, maybe if you could just fill in a couple of gaps, introduce yourself, and we'll get going.
I mean, what gaps are there?
How did you, here's a great thing, because, you know, normally I work with people who are running a business, they're putting together products or services that they're selling en masse.
Right.
And I have a few incredible people who are in the performance industry, let's say. Mm-hmm. And your chosen industry is the stunt performance industry. Maybe you can give people a little bit of the background that got you to that point in terms of being in TV and doing it professionally.
Happy to. Yeah. A little different than most people you get to talk to, because I'm my own business in, you know, many ways. But I have basically been an athlete my whole life, and gymnastics, wrestling, you know, parkour, you name it. And it was through parkour that I was competing around kind of North America. And there was some of the athletes that were getting into movies and getting paid to do parkour. And I was like, what? Like, this is a thing. And that was the minute I was like, I never was able to be a professional athlete in the sports that I had chose to pursue at high levels. And like, this was my shot to basically get paid to play and train and, you know, create and use my body for, you know, money, which sounds dirtier than it is. But I guess it depends on who you are.
This isn't a podcast, so it's all interview. We can see.
Yeah, fine. I stand by that answer. And so I basically packed up my car about 5 or 6 years ago from Calgary, like crash mat on the hood, bikes on the back, packed to the tits with sports equipment, and drove out to Vancouver, not knowing anyone, but knowing that this was my dream. And I put all my eggs in one basket, and slowly over the course of a couple years, built my way through a network and a skill set that allowed me my big break. And I've been working full-time as a stunt performer ever since. Well, up until COVID.
Now, you said slowly, but really a 2-year window to get that break, that opportunity to be on major television shows and major streaming service shows. You know, that's pretty quick.
Fair. Yes. I was told to prepare myself for a 5 to 8 year journey just to like get your big break. And so I had that in the back of my mind when I got in, and I was really fortunate. I met some really wonderful mentors early on that helped. And I also came onto the scene at a time where film in Vancouver was just, you know, bursting at the seams. So, you know, opportunities were kind of everywhere if you were ready for them. So yeah, I was in the right time at the right place.
That's awesome. So what is your big hope? Where do you hope to be, you know, in the next few years?
Well, I'm definitely, my dream is to be like a main performer on a like a feature film, like a big film that you go and buy overpriced popcorn that has like cancerous butter on it that I always eat. And I would love to like watch something that I got to be a part of, you know, designing and performing. And TV is great and you get to do a lot of really cool things. But there's just something, you know, magical about like the silver screen. And so that's on my bucket list, is to that's when I think that I've like ticked off most of the boxes in my career.
Yeah, I'd definitely say, you know, that big screen versus the small box is definitely a place to aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So Andrea, so let's just get right into some of these give tips or secrets or whatever you want to share. In the grow your business side, I talk about mountain of credibility as part of my training in terms of positioning people to be top of mind with their ideal customer. Let's talk, maybe you can share a little bit about how that applies to you. I mean, you had identity and you have marketability in order to be chosen, you know, for the position or the roles you get. So maybe explain a little bit about an idea or secret that you've used to get yourself noticed or be in the right position. I'm sure there's an interesting story here.
Well, yeah, I hope this answers your question, but I always saw myself as a slow burn when it came to networking. And the film industry, and I think most industries these days, is very much in like who you know and who is going to, you know, vouch for you and trust you. And, you know, and just, it happens that in stunts, it's literally with yours or other people's lives. So it's kind of at the, you know, the peak of trust.
Yeah, no kidding.
And well, we've worked together now a couple of years, so I think you get it. Like blowing smoke is not a skill set of mine. So, you know, just talking about the weather and like telling everyone that they're just so amazing is not something I'm good at. And so I knew very early on it was going to take me longer to get in stunts, but I was always told by the people I trusted within the industry that like it may take you longer to get in, but you'll stay longer because you're building real relationships. So instead of, you know, making 10 friends at one event, you know, I connected with one person and I followed up, and like one person that I liked and wanted to spend time with, not one person that just had, you know, power that I wanted what they had. And so for me, it was just building genuine relationships. And it just took time. And eventually I had a few of them that like, you know, talked amongst themselves and then would start to give me opportunities and, you know, and find a spot for me. And then instead of just getting hired once, getting hired multiple times by the same, you know, stunt coordinator, who is the person in charge of a film or television show that hires stunt performers. So.
You know, I think
that answer your question?
Oh, totally, because it fits really well in with credibility, but the part of credibility that comes with relationships and building good relationships. And Jim Rohn once said, you know, if you want to make a living, you know, understand your industry, do your market well. But if you want to be wealthy and successful, learn how to become valuable to valuable people, right? Of value to valuable people. And when you talk about, well, I'm not going to mix and mingle with the 10 or 15 people that we're just doing small talk because there's no value in that. And and we don't share each other's opportunities. Finding those people who are truly important, that you can build genuine relationships with and have an authentic conversation, also can contribute to the next step in business, because then you become that reliable, trusted person that they, say, well, okay, who's going to do that? Well, I know Andrea personally, why don't we call her up first, right?
Yeah, they know what they're going to get with me by that time. It's not like a wild card taking a chance. And I mean, I still have so far to go. I'm still considered pretty new in the industry. I've only been in it for, about 4 or 5 years. And so I still have so much to learn and so many people that I still want to work with. And so I'm still, kind of chugging along, but I've been very fortunate because the people that I have met and made relationships with are people that I really like spending time with on and off set. And so it's, I've kind of built a stunt family around it, which just makes life so much more enjoyable.
Well, it's, you have there's so many industries, and then you add the arts to it, where, what you see isn't always what you get. And, that trust also, reliability. Sometimes you think you're getting something, and then, obviously the person's late, doesn't show up on time, isn't prepared, doesn't have the skills that they said they had. But you deliver all of that. And in relationships, when you get to know people, they get to see that. And so that's, walk the walk, talk the talk. There's a huge value to that, especially in an industry where it's time driven, huge money's on the line. They can't afford waiting on people and making the wrong decision and having bad quality performers. So, that's a huge part of why you've been selected for the roles you've gotten thus far, and will probably be the reason why you do for that big screen opportunity on the road. I mean, I will say there are very few people that I know who work so hard at their craft. And, you might joke about a beer drinking, pizza or hamburger like in situation, popcorn, but you're one of the most prepared women I've ever met. So
thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah, this is an Up with Andrea call.
I love
All right,
it.
so that's great. So let's just say when you connect with people that matter and you build genuine, authentic relationships with them, there's a better opportunity to be positioned as the top of mind selection, right? So that would be a good tip for others to hear. Would you agree?
Yeah.
All right, so get freedom. You live what a lot of people would consider an enviable life. I know you go, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. I work so hard, blah, blah, blah. But I do see a lot of enjoyment in your life and a lot of freedom. And in my get more freedom part, it's about my freedom rules. And maybe you can share a little bit about your freedom rules. What are your kind of mottos? Well, actually, you told me this, so I'm going to ask you about this, and then you could. So you once told me that I asked you why it's so important to you to have bigger and bigger and bigger success, and you're driven by that next level, right, and accomplishment. And I was surprised and delighted to hear the answer was so I could play more, right?
Yeah.
So I could have better effing play, right? And
yeah.
I thought that was like the best answer. So clearly you have a little bit of the freedom understood, and you've built your own freedom rules. So what do you think your primary way that you get freedom is? How do you make that happen for you? Because you do live, a fairly busy schedule when you're working.
Yeah, I mean, I have the energy level of a highly caffeinated squirrel. So I benefit from really, honestly, I just try and make the most of any of those windows that are offered to me. Like our industry, the film industry, is not a reliable 9-to-5 experience, at least in my job. And it's constantly changing. And as you know, from like trying to keep a meeting with me, I could get called into work 10 p.m. the night before and then work 16 hours the next day, and we never kind of know. And so there's a lot of being adaptable and really then capitalizing on that window of time that's granted to you, that you don't have work and that you have freedom. And so I'm also fortunate enough to be married to someone that loves to play. He has an office job, so he works to play. I get paid to play. Who got the better job there? I don't know, but it works. And so our free time is, hey, we have a couple hours. Let's go kiteboarding. Let's go mountain biking. Let's go surfing in Tofino for a couple of days because we have a small window. And as much as I have canceled more flights last minute in the last 3 years, because you book a trip, there's this saying in the industry that you book a trip, you end up booking a job like the next day. And it's true, and it happens. And as you get more mature in the industry, you find it easier and find your opportunities to say no more. And maybe that's what I'm circling around to. So when you're new and fresh, and I think this is the same in most jobs, you're eager to please, you're eager to make your mark. So you're going to say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. And so I gave up, family things, friend things, relationship things for the job, because I was, there to like make my mark and make myself, irreplaceable.
Right.
Don't know if I've ever hit that mark, but, I definitely now that it's a steady source of income for me. So I'm working regularly, minus COVID, able to be like, I'm not available these days. Like, I'm going somewhere with my husband, and we're, and it's usually an adventure packed vacation somewhere. But that's what recharges me. Oddly enough, I get paid to like have these adrenaline filled experiences. And then when I get a chance to have some time off, I'm like, what crazy stuff can we do?
Well, I think there's something to be said about you creating everyone in the adventure sport or adventure world, or you increase your threshold for a need for activity. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you get to that point and you look down and you think other people are looking at you like, what the hell are you doing? You're like, oh, this is just a normal day in the life of,
Yeah. Yeah. And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to add that, I've had the 9 to 5, 40 or 60 hour, management job in the office. And I've shared this story with you before, but my boss at the time, she went to me right before I took my big leap and moved to Vancouver. And she was like, Andrea, like, there's like jobs that you're good at and there's jobs that you love. She's like, you're very good at this job, but I don't think you love it. And I just looked at her blank. I'm like, damn, yeah, I don't. And so now being in stunts, like, I've never been more fulfilled by the chaos, by the intensity, by the unknown, all these things that, I, as an athlete, when you knew your entire schedule, 12-month schedule, a year ahead, I knew exactly where I was going to be, like Thursday, July 12th at, 5 o'clock. And now I have no idea where I'm going to be, the next day. And turning that into a positive, I think, was a really cool life experience.
Yeah. I can relate. I definitely to the, drop everything to follow your passion. I think I did the same. I was really good at what I did for 20 years, and then I dropped it and just said, this, life's short. I'm approaching 50, yeah. And I need to change the lives of other people through coaching.
Let's stir this chaos pot and see what happens.
Do it. Everybody go to zero and hope it all works out.
Yeah. I think it's working out okay for us, Mike. I think it's working out okay.
Certainly we're smiling. It's an awesome thing. You touch on it, and I always share with people this idea. Now you live it, and that's the performance, like getting more freedom. If people began to live their lives, entrepreneurs and business owners, I don't know if you're regimented in a 40-hour work week and that's your role. You have a choice, but when you're an entrepreneur or business owner, or you intend to be one, mm-hmm. you get to live, and you really should consider how a performer or a top performer in life, and celebrities, athletes, people in the arts, they tend to live a performer's lifestyle. And that's where, when you're working, you're making money, you're making bank, and that's your primo money. Like you get really handsomely rewarded for that time. And then there's this whole business development or personal skill development period, right, where you're working on your craft. And for rock bands, it's when they're rehearsing, when they're just working on new riffs or whatever it is. That's the rehearsal or preparation time. And then when you're off, you're off. Like you're not in your business, you're not thinking about you're out, and you're really rejuvenating, refreshing, and becoming more creative and innovative again, and refocusing for the next opportunity. So I think living a performer's life and building a life and work schedule around that is as applicable for any entrepreneur as it is for a performer. So anyways, thank you. And then that's where you have this time blocking where you say no, right? Now it's time to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I think it's underrated. Play or time away is so underrated. And I can't believe it took Warren Buffett until his 80s to figure out that he should spend more time reading and thinking than he does actually working, so it's a big deal.
It was that last $1 billion. It was just too much. He was like, okay, time to read books.
He kind of mastered the make money while you sleep model. So, all right, give. I only work ultimately people who are attracted to whatever I do. If they understand or even feel slightly connected to a grow, get, give mantra, it's because they are impact minded and they have an impact mindset. And give is extremely important to me. And originally, early on in my career in the whole evolution of this, it was really about philanthropy and just giving back money and time and influence, right? But it evolved, and it evolved to also giving back to oneself, because if you're not well mentally and physically, you certainly can't do much for other people. So yourself, your family, your community, and the causes that matter to you help me understand and help everyone else understand maybe some of your give backs. How do you give back, maybe first to you and your family, and then tell me a little bit more of the causes that matter, because I know we should spend some time on this because your initiative is a pretty cool one. So help me understand a little bit about that, a little bit about you, and a lot about the causes that you're in behind.
Well, I think that's what drew me to working with you as well, was that it wasn't, it was a partly selfish endeavor, but much more about, but yeah, then what are you going to do with that when you've successfully accomplished that? And for me, that is the most important. Like, if, success is great, but if you don't have anyone to share it with, like, party for one's really not that much fun. And so I have been really fortunate, very early on in my career, to be able to share my success with my husband, with my friends. We've got to travel, and we've got to see parts of the world. We've got to do a lot of things. My nieces and nephews, like, I get to fly across the country to see them, whenever I can. So I'm very fortunate that way. And so as far as, for me, one of my give backs is time, because, like you said, when I'm not working, like, I'm not working. And so it's very easy then to turn that switch off and give quality time where you're present with the people that you care about.
Yeah.
And the one piece that brought us to Live Your Fierce, which is a project of mine that's, in ongoing development, but it's going to be amazing.
It's aspirational.
Yeah.
And inspirational.
Was that before I got into stunts, I had always been a coach. I had been a coach of various sports since I was 15. And that, before stunts, was my most fulfilling vocation. I really loved working with people to help them achieve their goals, and just see that switch go off between them starting with, I can't do that, and finishing with, I can't believe I just did that. Yeah, and for me, there was nothing more powerful than, witnessing that, and maybe even having a hand in it selfishly, like being able to help people experience that. And so I kind of missed, like, feeding off the energy of, people going through that experience. So with the Live Your Fierce project, and also, and side note, a little bit of a feminist. So, like, strong, independent women, kind of my jam. And so, speaking as someone who has literally spent their whole life in, male dominated sports and industries. And so finding ways to break down barriers for women to do the things that they're really passionate about, and to find that, that fire in them to go after it, was really important. And so I have started this project to bring together other, like, fierce women that have overcome their own obstacles to do what it is that they really, really, want to do, regardless of whether they were told they couldn't, or didn't think they could, or that it was unconventional. And the hope is to build a community of people that are already living their fierce and want to live their fierce, through just shared experiences, hopefully some gatherings where they get to, have fun with yours truly, or, other fierce people. And that's the hope. That's the, to spread this, like, ridiculous energy. It's got to be used for something good as well.
Yeah, there's got to be another place to like bottle that, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked about this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gone through a few kind of iterations. But one of the things that is important to me, and we've just recently had that conversation, is, there are a lot of women who have that secret Live Your Fierce, right? And then they have that society basically trained me to be nervous and afraid of doing that, either outwardly because I might look goofy, or it's not womanly, or I'm just scared the hell out of it because I didn't learn any of these basic skills, these physical skills. So I'm really damn intimidated by someone like Andrea, because she's like this crazy stunt performer, wacky woman who just absolutely kills it. how could I possibly like come to the middle with her because it's just too scary. How do you deal with that? Because I believe, and we talk, this is women, I think, who outwardly live their fears, but inwardly also might want to live their fears. So how does that group come across the line, if you will, to just embrace this?
Well, as hard as it is to believe, Mike, like I was that person for a long time who was afraid to like live my fears. When I was in Calgary and I had finished university and I had my wrestling career, like I didn't make the Olympics, and and then you go through this like identity crisis of like, well, who am I now? I'm not an athlete. Like, I don't know what to do. And, I was working an office job, and then I finally got a big girl job, a career job that, my dad was excited about and, gave me a salary and benefits finally. And this was all great. But there was just something really off. And I had always been too afraid to take a big chance to do whatever I really wanted to do. I'd always played it safe. Even when I wrestled, I had one hand, on, a safety blanket of like, must finish school, must, keep a couple part-time jobs so that I have something just in case. And I witnessed myself, that and it wasn't until I met my boss at the Calgary Winter Club when I was working there, and we had that discussion. And she basically, for me, had listed off the like 3 barriers to me pursuing my passion, and she took care of them for me.
Oh, that's great.
So, I was afraid of job security, like going from making a salary to nothing, like that's terrifying. And she was like, you have a 3-month leave of absence. If it doesn't work out, you get your job back. She helped me find people to take over my condo lease while I was gone. So that was covered, you know what I mean? And then she also just gave me that vote of confidence of like, I believe you can do this. And so those 3 things, which I hadn't had before, I couldn't say no anymore because she had turned all my no's into yeses. And so I experienced that. And then I did it. And I remember moving to Vancouver and 7 days in, and I didn't know anybody. I like had made 0 progress in like making it into the film industry. And I remember calling her and being like, I'm never coming back. Even if this doesn't work out, like I have never been happier pursuing what I really want to do, even if I don't make it. And so I have experienced that, and that like liberation of just really going for it and not being afraid of failure, which so many of us are.
So
does that answer your question today?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it got me thinking because, we're parents. My wife Sherry and I are parents, and I think we've done okay with our kids. People say that. I always wonder in the house, but that's for people who are allowed to be their crazy selves. And we always believe that the more love you gave people, the more security, the more you remove the fear of if I go away and try whatever, I can always come back and be accepted for who I am. And that's certainly a lot different than some of the other where it's the burn the ships, you can't come back, like you've gone and there's no, and maybe there's the thinking that once you commit, you got to stick in because you can't can't just give up. But I what you just said about removing the fear and having the confidence to succeed versus having the confidence to fail. And it sounds like you took the confidence to succeed as, those things were there for you to bring you back if you needed it. But you took it as, I don't have an ability to fail. I have an ability to succeed, and I hope I never need that. But you knew it was always there. So I think that's pretty cool. Philosophically, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a pretty powerful experience. And so I think that circles back to like my give, like what I have now to give back to, my community or the next, person, whether it's the next female stunt performer or just the next female entrepreneur or just the next human that connects with that story is, I have the experience and the energy and the willingness to like share and be that person's obstacle destroyer.
I love it.
Yeah.
Destroyer.
Yeah.
Well, we're circling right back to badass here. That's awesome. So clearly this is not limited. This is open. This will be an open-ended project that reaches out to women across North America and maybe internationally, right? Am I correct in that?
Here's hoping, Mike. Yeah.
Well, your community will start. I mean, the great thing is you may start with the women who are the comfortable women with their living their fierce, and they're just going to inspire as well. So I can't wait to see the community develop. I can't think of a better person to lead the charge in that. I want to thank you for sharing that because it's an important project to you, and I ultimately believe it's going to be a huge and important project to the lives of so many women. So I'm egging you on, and I'll be in the behind the scenes with you as much as possible too. So Andrea, okay, now people, this is not the typical, because you're not selling products and services, but let's say someone's watching this and wants to reach out to you, either to find more about Live Your Fierce, or hey, who knows who watched and said, hey, maybe we should talk to Andrea about getting on set with us someday. Where are they going to find you?
Right now, the most reliable is over Instagram, because my website is currently under construction, which is an exciting new project, and I'm stoked for it to be out, but it's not working right now. So my handle is andrea.m.ross, and there's links to the Live Your Fierce stuff on there as well. But that's where you can kind of see what I do, and I'm on there chatting all the time.
Yeah, tune in. Follow Andrea for sure, because her posts are awesome. You will laugh, and you will be both amazed and mesmerized.
Entertained by my ridiculousness.
Oh, yeah. I love the mud bath. Andrea is a big time kite surfer or kiteboarder, and sometimes they just swim in the mud for kicks. So it's all good. Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'll add your Instagram handle when I post this, and I want to wish everybody that you all find and pursue and define what Grow, Get, Give means to you. Grow your business, get more freedom, give back. And Andrea, thanks again for sharing your ideas. Glimmers of wisdom that might be shared with others who can learn from it. So
I love our chats, Mike. I always leave so jazzed. So
that's good. So do I. We're energized and ready to go for the day. So have an amazing day, Andrea, and thank you so much. You can follow me at growgetgive.com, and if you can spell my name, you can find me online. So anyways, thanks very much, and have an amazing day.
Thanks, Mike.